All right, we are doing the Vintage Cup, and this is one of the holes that I don't have recorded. I can't remember if this is hole number 1 or hole number 9. I think it might be hole number 9. We'll find out at the end. So I'm going to take the traditional shot here, not the risky shot. And if you're going to bring a ball here, bring a ball that's got some side spin. We're not going to need all of the top spin. So you can come out and try and do an overpower shot and end up over on the other side right there, but we're not going to, I don't want to do any overpower. I want to be a little shy of 2 rings out. I'm going to adjust out the wind. I'm going to put all of the curl that club has on it. And I'm trying to hit right up there towards the top. And what happens is that, and I'll demo this hole. We'll go to Golf Clash Notebook when I'm done. But if you hit it at that angle right there, way up at the top, with everything you can, making it go to the left, or excuse me, to the right, when it hits, if you don't do anything at all, the course terrain itself will throw your ball drastically to the left. And so I'm allowing the course to do what it wants to do, but I'm counteracting that by putting everything I can to the right so that the ball comes out flat and takes a hop forward in a straight direction. And I'm glad my opponent came at it from this way, because this is a very easy way to come at it, especially if you bring a sniper or you've got a hammerhead. If you find yourself up short up there at the top. Okay, right here is my minimum guardian. So at minimum guardian, I'm about 1.8 per ring. Put a little bit of side spin on it here. And I want to use that hill to my advantage. That is a huge backstop. It'll roll right back to the hole. So I'm trying to find a spot here. So with my guardians at 1.7, so there's 3.4. I'm going to do about 2 2/3 rings. Hitting it perfect. Just backspinning it off that backboard and bringing it back towards the hole. And as the week goes on, I'll go back and watch those videos and pick my landing spot to try and continue to bring the ball to the hole. So that's the way that I'm going to come at the hole, but you may find yourself with the clubs that are in your bag where this shot over here, what our opponent did, you can come way up here. I mean, you can hit this with a lot of topspin and come way up here at the top of this, and it'll drop right back down to the hole. That's how steep all this stuff is. So our opponent played it very conservative, laying up there in the front, but you can go in here with a whole bunch of speed and hit this hill and still be able to fall right back down to the pin. So we will putt to win. This is a hole right here that if you hit that first shot, and you don't necessarily have to bring a kingmaker, but you can see where my red lines were. So if I don't bring a kingmaker, if I bring a 2-power ball like a katana, I'm gonna have to push it a little up on the green. I'll still be up there and be able to make that eagle, I still go for the eagle, but make an easy birdie. But that's a hole that a lot of people struggle just to get birdie on. All right, let's go to the hole here. I think that was hole number 9. Yes, it was hole number 9. So when I'm coming into this spot, here's the tee box. We're coming in for our layup shot. We're trying to get out into this area. What I'm trying to do is that transition that's up here at the top. Normally I like to play it real safe, and I'm about 2 rings off of any surface. But here I'm like right on that fine line. I can hit a grate on the inside and still be clear, but I can't hit much worse than a grate on the inside, because I want to be as high up on that hill as possible, where it's as steep as possible. Because if you hit, the further down you hit down here, the more it's gonna push your ball in this direction. So up here I'm hitting it where it's almost it's at the very peak of its steepness. And when it takes that bounce going off, when it comes from this flight and hits that spot, the terrain wants to throw it in this direction. And I put all that side spin and curl on it to make it go in this direction. And these two counteract each other, and you saw the ball went perfectly straight right down the middle. And the higher up you can hit, the more you can achieve that. So if you hit it great on the inside, or excuse me, great on the left, that little teeny grate on the left is going to drastically change your landing spot out here, and you're going to be farther away. So what you may find is from out here, you're more in your mid club. And where we hit it was about as perfect as I could hit that shot, where I'm right there, right at that spot. So if you find yourself consistently in a spot where that ball club combo don't work, it's all about ball, you're going to have to change to either a 2-power ball or a 4-power ball. You're going to have to adjust that ball out so that you can make that shot. And it's not, this whole beginning shot here is just a setup. Now the other way is that you can bring a bigger power ball, and there is a path, and it's in an expert, you almost have to do this in order to get a leg up. And what you're going to do is you're going to hit from the second tee, or you can hit from the first tee, but we don't have quite as much wind, and you're either going to try and clip this corner with a big power ball and come around the trees and end up out in this area, or you're blasting through this lane right here. There's also a lane like right here where you're coming from this tee and you're going through that lane, and you're actually trying to land out in this area. So when it comes out of the trees, it's got so much speed, even though it lands here, and it's got so much topspin on it, even though it lands here in the rough, it blasts through that rough and ends up out here in the front. And so what that does is it changes you from your guardian out here. Here's your guardian. That's your wood. Somewhere in here is your long iron. Somewhere in here is your short irons, and then the rest of it's your wedge. So you can drop from a guardian shot to a short iron shot for this, and come at it, depending on what club you have, what technique you're going to use. It probably lends itself more to a thorn or a claw, or one of the ones that has backspin. But from this short distance, you might be able to dribble it on there with a Hornet. It'd be the same thing here. You'll have to decide whether or not you can dribble it on and bring it around with the backbone, or whether, a club more like a Saturn's going to work. But that's why if you're doing, so the shot that you come around the trees in rookie, where you end up more in this range, you're trying to drop from a wood to a long iron. When you're an expert and possibly pro, and we might be able to do this in rookie, get up into this area, then you're in a short iron. So each one of these clubs, you're going to have an advantage, especially if you're like, I feel more confident with my short iron. I would be more apt to do one of these shots if I could consistently get in my short iron range, because then I'd have a pretty good shot at it. This shot back here with the guardian is a pretty, it's a pretty low percent highest shot. It's good enough to get you birdie every time you come to this hole. So if you're a one-on-one play, you can win a lot of times on this hole just because you always get a birdie. But you always gave yourself a shot at the eagle. But it is a low percentage eagle. But it's a shot that you get every time. So I suppose if you could consistently get out here and drop down a club, it might make a difference. But if I dropped into my long iron range, I'm more than likely going to be using my Saturn, and I'm going to end up taking the same shot that I would take with my guardian. It would really only be a significant difference if I could get out here in my short iron range. Now this is a great hole if you have an apocalypse, because with an extra mile, with all of the curl that I got on there, I went in a straight line. But with an apocalypse, you may be able to, on that bounce where I was bouncing out into here, you may be able to bounce that around the corner and actually get your bounce from this point to head in this direction, and if you can clear the rough right here. So in order to do that, you're going to have to add more curl. You're going to have a lower starting point. You're going to have to give yourself more room, because right now we're pinched up against the bottom, right up against that. And so if you apply any more curl than what we have, it's going to pinch this rough right here on the tip. So if you have an apocalypse, you could potentially get more in this range. So you're not necessarily outside of your wood, but you are in a better position with your wood. Let's think about where our red line's at. All right, what hole were we on? That was hole number 9 of the Vintage Open. Thanks for watching.